Hello and welcome to the very first official episode of Squid Nation. That's just what I'm going to be calling our sports episodes. So yeah. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into our first episode, which is my, not predictions, but just my top 3 MVPs of the 2016-17 season. We'll have my predictions of what I actually think it's going to be. This is just my opinion of what I think it should be. So, here we go. Coming in at number 3, we have Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. 2 years ago, Paul George had an horrific injury that broke his leg literally, and I mean it literally, but I also mean it literally, like his bone was sticking out of his leg. It was so terrible, and it was almost crazy to think that if he was ever going to come back. After that season, though, he did have his comeback, and it was amazing. He had career highs in scoring, he shot great, you see his stats, really, really good all-star numbers. Now, the thing is the Indiana Pacers were only the 7th seed last year, and their roster was not as good as it's been in the past, so I don't think that's, why they had much success. But I think with their latest additions in the NBA offseason and their help in the draft, I think they're going to be a top 5 at least team in the East. But if Paul George performs how I think he's going to perform, I say top 3, top 2 team. With the addition of the Summer Olympics behind his belt and a gold medal, I think it's really going to be a confidence booster. Plus the fact that, he's following up a great comeback season, and now I think it's time for him to show that when he's 100% healthy and no injury behind him, he can be an NBA superstar. These are my stat predictions, and I'd be very surprised if he was any lower in any of these numbers. Paul George is that good, but the reason I think he is an MVP candidate is because of his efficiency on offense and his ability to get it done on defense. There are some guys on your team that have to guard the best player no matter what position there is. That's your Chris Pauls, your Draymond Greens, your Kawhi Leonards. And I think you're Paul George, but I don't think anyone, except for Kawhi Leonard probably, does a better job of guarding the wing than Paul George does. And not just the wing. I think Paul George can guard positions 1 through 4. 4 being a stretch, but definitely any perimeter defense Paul George can handle. You won't see him locking a guy down like Kevin Durant or LeBron James, but I think it's going to make it very, very difficult for those guys, which will eventually help his team out in the long run. And the final reason I think Paul George is going to win MVP is because now that he's healthy and he's got the season and a gold medal behind his back, he also has something that he hasn't had really before in the past. This is his team 100%. They are going to look for Paul George to do everything in their offense and their defense. 3 years ago when they had Lance Stevenson, they looked to him to make plays. Now they're looking to Paul George 100% of the time on offense if they need a play made. He is their guy, and he, I think, is ready and going to flourish. Alright, at number 2, we have Chris Paul of the Los Angeles Clippers. If you know me, then you know that I'm a Chris Paul fan. I know Steph Curry's good, I know Russell Westbrook's good, kind of, but Chris Paul, in my mind, has always been and will be for a really long time if he keeps on playing like this, like he always does, the best point guard in the NBA, by far. And really, it's because of one word: efficiency. You have your Currys and your Westbrook who can average that 27, 30 points a game, but they're going to cost you a lot in their turnovers, in their lack of defense, and other sort of things that Chris Paul does not lack in. Chris Paul has been a 20, 10, 2, and 2 guy. 20 points, 10 assists, 2 steals, 2 turnovers for his whole career, basically. And I don't think people recognize the significance of his extremely high assist-to-turnover ratio. If you think about it this way, Chris Paul, for every turnover, he has 5 assists to go against it. Steph Curry, he's got about a 2-to-1. Russell Westbrook's even lower at like a 1.5-to-1. So if you're thinking about how many points Chris Paul creates without giving up, I think it rounds out to an all-around better performance than these other guys. Another reason I think that he's an MVP candidate and the best point guard in the league is because of his defense. No other point guard in the NBA will guard Kevin Durant, will guard Kawhi Leonard, will guard Jimmy Butler, Dwayne Wade. No one will guard those guys, no point guard, except for Chris Paul. Chris Paul is that good of a defender. He's averaged 2 steals for his entire career, and his efficiency and his leadership really, I think, has the biggest impact of any defender in the entire league. Last year in the finals, the Golden State Warriors, were minus 11 with Steph Curry on the court. They were plus 10 without him. This is supposed to be your unanimous MVP, and you're playing better without him? Now, I know those stats are tricky, so that might not be the whole story, but it is true that generally the Golden State Warriors were playing better without him. That's not an MVP. That is someone that's hurting your team. Chris Paul, without them, the Clippers would not even make the playoffs. They would be looking for the number 1 pick, guaranteed. The Clippers would be so bad without Chris Paul, is the point I'm trying to make, which makes him so valuable on both ends of the court. I think he anchors that team more than anyone in the league than the next person we're going to talk about. But real quick, here are my stats predictions for Chris Paul. Now, this is going to vary based on how, he could or couldn't play. If I think he's going to score as much as I think, then those numbers are definitely possible. And finally, at number 1, we've got the man himself, the NBA champion, LeBron James. Now, LeBron James has been a 4-time MVP. He's won the award 4 times in his 13-year career. May not sound like a lot, given the fact that he's won, that he's played 13 years, but 4 times. He's a 4-time MVP. You know how many people have done that? Not a lot. 4 or 5, I think, in NBA history. People have won 4 MVPs or more. But you know what? If there's anyone in the league that is valuable to their team, it's LeBron James to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think LeBron James has been the most valuable player to his team for 10 out of his 13-year career, because he has just carried his team. When he went to Miami, the Cleveland Cavaliers went from best record in the league to worst record in the league in the 4 years that he was gone. When he comes back, they go to top 2 team in the East, to this year being the number 1 seed in the East. And I think next year, LeBron is going to show you how good he can be with the group that he has. With 2 years behind his back and a championship to go along, I think LeBron James is finally going to put up career numbers. I think he's going to take his shooting to another level. I think he's going to shoot 50, 40, 90 next season. Here are my stats predictions, and I seriously think that if LeBron just raises his game to another level, that I think he can. He's LeBron James. I think he can do that. I think these numbers are possible for next year, with the group, with the experience, and, just with his talent and skill level that he has. Chris Paul, the Clippers without Chris Paul wouldn't be, they would be looking for the number 1 pick. The Cleveland Cavaliers without LeBron James have the number 1 pick, guaranteed. They have the worst record in the league. It's no question that no one is as valuable to their player is as valuable to their team than LeBron James is to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Maybe even an all-time standpoint. Like, seriously, he took in 2007 the worst team in the finals the worst team of all time into the finals. Like, he just carries his teams wherever he goes, and I believe he's going to do the exact same thing next season. Alrighty, so that was my top 3 MVP of next year. Remember, not my predictions, I'll have that in another video, but give me your top 3 lists, top 5, top 10s of who you think should be the MVP next season. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Cue the music.